Hello and welcome back. Tonight, we travel to places where the clock stopped long ago and the world simply moved on. Imagine a room where the tea is still in the cup, but the person who poured it has been gone for 50 years. A place where nature is slowly reclaiming what humans once built with pride. These are the abandoned cathedrals of the forgotten, the ghost towns swallowed by sand, and the fortresses left to guard the wind. Here, silence isn't just the absence of sound, it is a living thing that breathes in the shadows. Before we step into these forbidden thresholds, if you find beauty in the forgotten, please like this video and subscribe. Take a deep breath. Let us listen to the silence. Fact 1. Calmingstory, the House of Sand. In the burning heart of the Namib Desert, there is a town that is slowly being swallowed by the golden dunes. Calmingstory was once a rich diamond mining hub, a place of grand ballrooms and elegant houses. But when the diamonds ran out, the people fled, leaving their homes to the mercy of the shifting sands. Today, the desert doesn't just surround the houses, it has moved inside. Sand dunes fill the living rooms, pouring through broken windows and climbing up the stairs like a slow, silent flood. If you stand in one of these rooms, you can hear the sand whispering against the wallpaper, a sound like 1,000 dry voices. It is a place where the barrier between the indoors and the infinite desert has completely vanished, leaving only a haunting masterpiece of nature's patience. Fact 2. Pripyat, the silent Ferris wheel. Pripyat stands as a frozen monument to a single terrible moment in 1986. Within hours, an entire city of 50,000 people vanished, leaving behind their half-eaten meals and their children's dolls. The most iconic sight is the yellow Ferris wheel, a machine built for joy that has never carried a laughing child. It stands tall against the gray sky, rusting in the radioactive wind. Trees grow through the floors of abandoned schools, and moss covers the hospital beds. Pripyat is a place where time didn't just stop, it was broken. It is a kingdom of ghosts, where the only residents are the wolves that hunt in the shadows of empty apartment blocks and the wind that whistles through shattered glass. Fact 3. Hashima Island, the concrete battleship. Rising out of the dark waters of the East China Sea, Hashima Island looks like a massive battleship made of gray concrete. Once the most densely populated place on Earth, it was a thriving coal mining community. In 1974, the mines closed, and the island was abandoned almost overnight. Now the ocean salt eats away at the concrete walls, and the wind howls through the empty corridors like a trapped spirit. Television sets, old shoes, and broken dishes still sit in the rooms, covered in decades of dust. It is a lonely, desolate rock where the sea slowly reclaims the iron and stone, a reminder that even the strongest fortresses built by man will eventually crumble back into the deep blue silence. Fact 4. The submerged city of Xicheng, the Lion City. Deep beneath the emerald waters of Qiandao Lake in China lies a perfectly preserved imperial city. Xicheng, known as the Lion City, was intentionally flooded in 1959 to create a hydroelectric station. While the world above changed, the city below stayed exactly the same. Protected from the sun and the wind by the quiet pressure of the water, the ancient stone gates, carved dragons, and grand temples remain in beautiful, eerie silence. It is a world of blue shadows and cold currents where fish swim through the arched doorways of emperors. There is no decay here, only a frozen eternity. To dive into Xicheng is to enter a ghost kingdom where the only sound is the beating of your own heart. Fact 5. Bodhi, the frozen gold mine. In the high hills of California, the town of Bodhi sits in a state of arrested decay. In the 1800s, it was a wild gold mining town full of life and danger. When the gold disappeared, the people left, but they left almost everything behind. Today, you can look through the dusty windows of the general store and see boxes of food still on the shelves. In the schoolhouse, the lessons are still written on the chalkboard. The dry mountain air has preserved the wood and the glass, making it feel as if the residents might return at any moment, but they never do. Bodie is a town of shadows, where the creaking of a swinging door is the only greeting you will receive. Fact 6. The Mounsell Forts, the Sea Guardians. Standing like giant iron monsters in the middle of the Thames estuary, the Mounsell Forts were built to guard England from the air during the war. These rusted, metallic towers look like something from a science fiction movie, abandoned and isolated above the gray waves. For decades, they have stood alone, battered by storms and salt water. Their hollow interiors once held soldiers and anti-aircraft guns, but now they hold only the memories of the wind. They are silent sentinels of a forgotten era, slowly rusting into the sea. There is something deeply unsettling about their heavy iron legs standing in the water, watching a horizon that no longer holds the threat they were built to stop. Fact 7. The Abandoned Dome Homes, Florida's Echo. Off the coast of Marco Island, a cluster of futuristic white domes sits half submerged in the turquoise water. These were once a high-tech eco-home built to withstand hurricanes and the passage of time. But the ocean had other plans. The rising tides and shifting sands slowly pulled the domes away from the land. Now they look like the ruins of an alien civilization, slowly being claimed by barnacles and seabirds. At sunset, the white concrete glows against the water, a beautiful but tragic reminder that the sea always wins. They are hollow shells, echoing with the sound of the waves, a monument to the fragility of our dreams in the face of nature's power. Fact 8. Crucy, the village of mist. High in the mountains of France, the village of Crucy sits in a state of eternal waiting. It wasn't destroyed by war, it simply faded away as the young people moved to the valleys. By the middle of the 20th century, the last light was turned out. Today, the stone houses are covered in thick green ivy, and the church bell hasn't rung in 70 years. The streets are now paths for deer and foxes. There is a profound sadness in Crucy, the sadness of loneliness. It feels like a person who was forgotten by their family, standing quietly in the cold mountain air, watching the sun rise and set over a world that no longer remembers its name. Fact 9. The Teufelsberg, the Spy Mountain. In the heart of Berlin, there is a man-made hill called Teufelsberg, built from the rubble of the destroyed city after the war. At its top sits an abandoned Cold War listening station, its white radar domes torn and flapping in the wind. This was once one of the most secret places on Earth, where spies listened to the whispers of the Soviet Union. Now the walls are covered in colorful graffiti, and the empty domes echo with every footstep. It is a place of ghosts and secrets, where the air feels heavy with the weight of the hidden history. From its heights, you can see the modern city below, while you stand in the ruins of a silent war. Fact 10. The Willard Asylum, the Suitcase Mystery. In New York, the Willard Asylum for the Chronic Insane stands as a dark reminder of how we once treated the broken. When it closed in 1995, workers found something incredible in the attic: hundreds of suitcases belonging to patients who had lived and died there. Inside were their only possessions: brushes, letters, and photographs of families they would never see again. The hospital buildings themselves are grand and terrifying, with long, empty hallways and peeling paint. It is a place of deep sorrow,
where the walls seemed to hum with the lost thoughts of the thousands who were forgotten by society. The suitcases remain a silent testimony to the lives that were lived in the shadows.
Fact 11. The Sanji UFO Houses, the Galactic Ruin. In Taiwan, a collection of brightly colored pod-shaped buildings once sat along the coast, looking like a village from another planet. These were meant to be a luxury vacation resort for the wealthy. However, construction was halted after a series of mysterious accidents and rumors that the ground was cursed. For years, the UFO houses sat empty, their neon colors fading under the salt air and the tropical sun. They looked like abandoned spacecraft, waiting for a crew that would never arrive. Although most have been demolished now, the memory of their strange circular shapes remains a symbol of a future that was planned but never truly began. Fact 12. The Buzluja Monument, the UFO of Bulgaria. High on a peak in the Balkan Mountains sits a massive concrete structure that looks like a giant flying saucer. This was the Buzluja Monument, a temple to a political dream that died with the fall of the Iron Curtain. Once filled with shimmering mosaics and grand speeches, it is now a cavernous ruin. Snow falls through the holes in the roof, covering the broken glass and the faded images of past leaders. The wind moans through the vast, empty hall, creating an atmosphere of epic desolation. It is a place of immense scale and immense silence, a concrete crown left on top of a mountain for the clouds to inhabit. Fact 13. Bannerman Castle, the Island of Weapons. In the middle of the Hudson River in New York, a crumbling stone castle rises from a small rocky island. This was not the home of a king, but a massive warehouse for a weapons dealer named Francis Bannerman. He built his castle to look like his Scottish homeland, filling it with gunpowder and old cannons. But a massive explosion and years of neglect turned the castle into a skeletal ruin. Today, its walls are held up by iron bars, and trees grow through the empty windows. It looks like a dream of the old world floating in the new world, a fortress of iron and stone slowly surrendering to the vines and the river. Fact 14. The Great Train Graveyard, the Iron Giants. In the high deserts of Bolivia, there is a place where iron giants go to die. The Great Train Graveyard is filled with rusted locomotives from the early 20th century, left to rot when the mining industry collapsed. The salt winds of the nearby flats have turned the black steel into a bright, burnt orange. These massive engines, once symbols of progress and power, now sit motionless in the sand. You can walk through their hollow bellies and climb onto their frozen wheels. There is no sound here but the whistling of the wind through the rusted pipes. It is a graveyard of the industrial age, where the tracks lead to nowhere but the horizon. Fact 15. Crashed DC-3, the plane on the black sand. In 1973, it ran out of fuel and crashed onto the volcanic sand. Everyone survived, but the plane was left behind. Today, its twisted metal frame glows against the dark ground, looking like a fallen star in a prehistoric landscape. There are no roads here, only the endless wind and the roar of the Atlantic Ocean. The plane is a silent witness to the power of the elements, a hollow bird of aluminum that will never fly again, resting in a place that feels like the very end of the world. Fact 16. Kayaköy, the ghost village of stone. In the mountains of Turkey, the village of Kayaköy consists of hundreds of stone houses that have been empty since 1923. During a population exchange, the Greek residents were forced to leave and the village was never resettled. The roofs have long since collapsed, leaving only the stone walls standing like rows of teeth on the hillside. The two large churches are empty, their floors covered in dust and fallen plaster. Kayaköy is a place of heavy, historic sadness. It is a village that didn't die of old age but was stopped in its tracks. Walking through its narrow streets feels like walking through a memory that everyone is trying to forget. Fact 17. The Spree Park, the abandoned joy. In the heart of Berlin, an old amusement park sits behind a rusted fence, slowly being swallowed by the forest. The Ferris wheel still stands, creaking loudly as the wind spins its empty cars. Life-sized fiberglass dinosaurs lie on their sides in the tall grass, their painted skin peeling away. The Spree Park was once a place of laughter and neon lights, but now it is a place of eerie silence. The swan boats sit frozen in a green, stagnant pond. It is a landscape of broken happiness, a reminder that the places we build for our pleasure are the most haunting when the people finally go away. Fact 18. The Château de la Motte Chandonnière, the Water Castle. Deep in a French forest, a breathtaking castle sits in the middle of a moat covered in an explosion of green life. After a fire in the 1930s, the chateau was abandoned and nature took over. Trees now grow inside the grand rooms, their branches reaching out through the stone windows. It looks like a scene from a fairy tale where the spell was never broken. The water of the moat is perfectly still, reflecting the ruined towers and the thick ivy. It is a place of incredible, haunting beauty, where the line between architecture and nature has been erased, creating a living sculpture of stone and leaf. Fact 19. Pellerest, the island of the sun. In the middle of the Mediterranean, the small island of Pellerest was once a quarantine station for sailors. Now it is a maze of white stone buildings and empty hospital wards, baked by the sun and cooled by the sea breeze. The iron beds are still there, rusted by the salt air, and the names of the sick are carved into the walls. It is a place of forced isolation, where thousands spent their last days looking at the blue horizon. Today, only the seagulls and the lizards live there. The island feels like a place where the sun has bleached away the pain, leaving only the white stone and the infinite blue. Fact 20. The world without us, the final echo. Every abandoned place on this list is a preview of a world without us. They show how quickly the vines will climb, how fast the sand will pour, and how easily the ocean will reclaim the land. These ruins are not just piles of stone and steel, they are mirrors. They reflect our pride, our dreams, and our ultimate fragility. As you sleep tonight, remember that the silence of these places is not empty. It is full of the echoes of everyone who once lived, laughed, and cried there. The world is patient, and in the end, the silence always returns to claim its own. Conclusion. The peace of the dust. The wind has calmed. The dust has settled on the floor of the empty palace. The echoes are at rest. As you drift into the deep embrace of sleep, feel the stillness of the world around you. The stories of the forgotten are now a part of the earth, and you are safe in the present. May your dreams be as vast as the desert and as quiet as the submerged city. Sleep well, for the silence is your friend tonight.